Greetings and welcome to Small Business CEO TV, where small business finds big ideas. My name is Glenn Garnes and I'm your host, and I'm also the founder of Small Business CEO. Now, if you are one of our regular viewers, you know that this segment is about helping you get a quality introduction to one of our members. We're here to let you get to know the business owner as you get to know the business. And the idea is for you to be able to know who you're doing business with, even before you've made the choice to do business. So keep in mind that we're going to be talking about the personal story and also the business story of the individual that is here with us and our guest today. And that guest is Andra Taylor of TaylorMade Solutions. So we're going to be talking with Andra a little bit about his personal story and about his business story, but we're going to start by welcoming him to Small Business CEO TV.
Thank you, Glenn.
Is that good with you?
Absolutely, absolutely. Right. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah. Now you actually came up. You have an office in Atlanta, in Illinois, and in D.C. But you're not always. You move around a little bit. So the bottom line is that you happen to be in town, which is why you decided to come into the studio and spend time with us personally in the studio, which I loved. Because even though we can do a remote interview, we prefer to have people come in the studio. So I'm glad you took advantage of the opportunity to do that. So
absolutely, I'm happy to be here. Like you said, our headquarters is based out of Freeport, Illinois, but we are a national company, and in a sense, we're everywhere.
Yeah, you're virtual because you're a digital marketing agency,
absolutely,
which is a beautiful thing to be in this age because there's so many business owners that need help with their marketing online, and you're perfectly positioned to be able to do that. But that's the second half of the story. The first half of the story is your personal story, and that's what we want to talk about right now. So why don't you start off by telling us a little bit about who Andra Taylor is, where you're from, and how you got into digital marketing.
Well, as I stated, I'm from Freeport, Illinois. That's where born and raised. A lot of my family is located as well. And from there, I really took a liking to technology at a very young age. But I think I always looked at it as kind of like the nerdy thing to do. So I maybe shied away from it in a manner of speaking. So life really took me in a lot of different other directions. It wasn't until I kind of got a little bit older that I decided that I should start embracing this more, especially
embracing the nerdiness.
Yeah, the trend is changing. The fads are changing. It's actually a cooler thing, and so it just came natural to me. Like anything, as far as technology, I took too easy. I learned quickly, and I was fascinated and excited about it. And it kind of just went from there. Maybe took a more serious turn when I was working in real estate. I actually worked in public housing in Freeport. And I was there maybe about a decade. And during that time, I was became the go-to person for all things technology, whether it's working on the website for the company, doing things with emails, building digital forms, so on and so forth. And so it kind of just grew, and the leadership there, the CEO, really helped to foster that and enable me to kind of flourish in that space. So I took to learning as much as I possibly could about it, and eventually that transitioned to me doing that more on a full-time basis.
So you and I share the passion for technology, and I'm glad you got over the stigma of being a nerd, because unfortunately nerds didn't realize that one day they would rule the world. And that's exactly where we are today.
Absolutely.
So now you grew up in Illinois. You graduated high school there. You went on to did you go on to some college and then expanded into other things?
Yeah, so I actually, to be totally honest, I was a teenage father. And due to the complications at that time in my life, I also became a high school dropout. But I didn't allow that to stop me. I know that with a son on the way, I had two choices. Which is one, I could be another statistic and be the absentee father that was so much talked about during that time, or I could rise to the challenge and be a man. And I'm happy I made that choice to rise to the challenge.
Well, that's an important part of your story. So what's your son's name?
His name is Kypri.
Nice. Is it, now, where does he live?
He's back in Rockford area. With his mother in that area. Well, actually, now he's 18, to be totally honest. So he actually is now ventured out on his own.
Isn't it nice to have adult children?
It is. It is a unique experience, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
I got two more to go. But yes, that's great. So We're going to talk a little bit about your business and how you got into digital marketing, because obviously technology is a very broad thing. Digital marketing is a little bit more narrow. And before we do that, I want to ask you, I should have told you, I was going to tell you this ahead of time, but sometimes it's better for me not to. Tell us something most people don't know about you. Doesn't have to be embarrassing, but it can be if you're an adventurous type.
That's a really good question. Something that people don't know about me. That is a tough one.
While you're thinking about that, let me tell you the topics no one has ever
Okay,
talked about.
okay.
They've never talked about their criminal record. Actually, that's not true. One of our guests is actually a prison coach. I'll
Okay.
introduce you to him eventually because he's a
Awesome.
fellow small business CEO member. So he necessarily, because it was part of his business model that he had to talk about his previous experience with the incarceration or with the criminal system. But what I'm saying is pick something that you want people to know about you that most people don't know. Any special hobbies that are unique? I mean, do you play the saxophone or anything like that?
That is a good question.
That's why I should have let you think about it ahead of time.
Yeah,
but-
I really need to, because the way I live is pretty transparent, and there's not a lot I think that people want to know about me that they don't. I'm a type of person where if you get to know me and you ask me questions or something you want to know, I'll reveal that to you, if that makes sense.
So let me ask a different question, because we don't have to make this a templated show or anything like that, but when you made the decision to go into entrepreneurship, what was the biggest challenge you remember facing?
The biggest challenge with going into being an entrepreneur for me is the risk factor. I look at it two ways. In a salary position, there's lower risk, but there's more safety and security. Being an entrepreneur, there's a lot higher risk, but there's also a lot higher opportunity for greater success and those type of things. So to me, one of the biggest things was making that transition, especially, and maybe that's actually why I postponed it and put it off, because I was rearing a son. And so for me, at those stages, it was important to have that solid foundation, to have that consistency. But after he grew up and became older, now maybe was that opportunity or that window to open up for me to walk into, to actually take that chance, kind of before it's too late, if you will.
So when you were still full-time employed and made the conscious decision to be for the security that was necessary to raise your family, did you know at that time that you were going to get into entrepreneurship and start your own business? Or was that just something that presented itself afterwards?
Yeah, it kind of came up slowly. I believe in what Jim Rohn called the magic of part-time. And so while I was doing my full-time job, one of my frustrations was the glass ceiling effect, where it's there's a lot of bureaucracy typically in a corporate structure, I think, and you got to go through all these different levels and changes in order to kind of move your way up. And I felt that I was not meant to be limited in that regard. I believe that God had a larger call on my life, and that there could be no boundaries that needed to be placed on me for what God wants me to do, and that I believe is intended for me to do.
So that's a nice transition into your digital marketing agency, which is TaylorMade Solutions, because it's now time for us to talk about your business. So tell us a little bit about what you do and who you do it for.
All right, so we're a digital marketing and design agency, and we're a full service agency as well. We serve the entire United States at this time, and our trajectory is to go global within the next few years. Our niche, or the people we really love working with, are small business owners, and that's anywhere from pre-launch up to around maybe 5 years plus. And what we've done is we've created all the tools that are necessary for a small business owner to be successful. One of the things that we found is that technology is moving incredibly fast. And that means a lot of the sage business owners or the businesses or the mom and pop shops have been around for a long time. They have a true challenge keeping up with that curve. And so we bridge that gap in a sense. We offer our services in such a way that we don't do a cookie cutter approach where you see where a lot of companies do. We're patient. We'll take our time with you. We'll make sure you get an understanding of what we're doing and how we serve you. We guide you through that entire process from start to finish.
So give me an example. You said you digital marketing and design. Give me an example of a service that you would offer or a project that you would handle for a small business owner. Let's do a little case study. If you were working with a restaurant and they came to you and they wanted to increase the number of patrons that are coming to the restaurant, what kinds of solutions would you have available for them to do that?
What we would start with is an overall assessment for that small business, and we would kind of do a snapshot or see where they're at. So we take inventory of their online presence by doing like an online presence analysis. We'd see what their goals are, their vision, their trajectory, maybe for the next 1 to 5 years. We'll kind of project out. Once we've finish the discovery and the research process, then we start to build into the solution. And the solution being that maybe your brand is maybe outdated or not up to par, so we'll work with rebranding you. So that means you need a new logo. Maybe you need a website, or we need to redo your website. Maybe you need to, we do print as well, so graphics, posters, that kind of stuff. We'll look at, do you have a social media presence? Social media is huge these days, so we'll do an evaluation on that part. We also are experts in search engine optimization, paid advertising. So anything you can look at in the digital space as far as digital marketing and design, we're equipped to handle that, and that we do just that. Pun intended, it's a tailor-made approach.
I like that.
So no one size fits all. We look and meet you where you're at today, and then we build on that foundation to help you be successful. We're not into short-term connections. We're really interested in long-term connections and building a lasting relationship. I like to say forever. We want to be your trusted advisor and always be your sage, trusted advisor, or expert as you continue forward and serve you in that capacity.
So you're working with both brick and mortar and online business owners, if I'm not mistaken.
Absolutely, absolutely. One example for the brick and mortars are they have let's say they're successful in their retail front, but they are failing or unsuccessful on the online. We also have the capability of connecting or tying those two together. And so sometimes that's a great solution for a small business owner. Like, I want to keep my retail front or my brick and mortar, but I also want to be able to start offering things online. I think it was the CEO of Alibaba that once was interviewed and said that if you don't have a website as a business, you do not have a business. It's really a minimum prerequisite in order for you to survive in 2018 and beyond. And that trend is only going to increase over the next 5 to 10 year span, I believe. And we want to make sure we empower the small business owner to compete with the corporate businesses in this world and help them be just as effective and strong with their businesses as well.
So whether they're using their online presence to support generating foot traffic to their brick and mortar location, or they're a true e-commerce business, or a combination of the two, you have the ability to help them to craft the solution, or to craft the presence the way it needs to be to support both of those.
Absolutely.
Great,
Absolutely.
great. Well, so who do you find is typically a good referral source for you? In other words, what other professionals are you connected to that typically are in a position to refer the kinds of businesses you're looking to work with?
Our number one referral, I believe, is our current client base. I believe of that. It's the old fact, I guess,
word
that
of mouth.
maybe is lost,
Yeah.
right? But word of mouth, you can pay $1 million, but at the end of the day, are you satisfying your current clients? And so that's our approach, really, is the old-fashioned way. If I take care of you, if I exceed your expectations, I make you satisfied in every way, what are you going to do? Naturally, you're going to
talk about it.
You're going to talk about it.
Recommend
You're going
you.
to tell
Yeah.
everybody else, and they're going to say, well, what are they doing over there? Let me get a piece of that.
So do you also help with reputation management in terms of
Absolutely.
people, that's especially important well, it's important for all business owners, but the ones that seem to be most affected by it are, hospitality industry, restaurants and things of that nature. And of course, we call it service providers, plumbers, electricians, carpet cleaners, those types of folks. People that would be on an Angie's list, or a, what's the one for Home Advisor,
Okay.
for home improvement companies. They're review sites, so by definition, online reviews become important, but you're helping them with reputation management as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Fantastic.
And we practice what we preach. If you look at our Google reviews, our Facebook reviews, we're 5 out of 5, 100% across the board.
Good, good,
Very
good.
important.
All right, so let's tell people how they can get connected to you, because we want to make sure that for those that might be interested in finding out how they can put your talents to work, we want to make sure and make it simple and easy for them to do that. So I see that we've got up on the board here. Your website is www.tailormade.solutions, not .com, tailormade.solutions. Very unique and innovative way to use the domain infrastructure these days. And so the bottom line is that you can get connected to Andre at www.tailormade.solutions. And you can also find him on Small Business CEO's main website. His profile would be listed in the District of Columbia under the category of business services. And you can find them if you just click on View All Members in the DC directory. And you can find that directory by visiting www.sbceo.com. That's www.sbceo.com. Simply click the link for Join the Network if you're interested in finding out how you can become part of the Small Business CEO family. We'd be delighted to have you join us. So Andre, I want to thank you for joining us on Small Business CEO TV. I know we're going to be spending some more time together. You're going to come and be on the radio show and do some other things with us as well. We're really happy to have you. You're also part of the Experts on Stage Network, which is a subdivision of Small Business CEO. So not only are you a general Small Business CEO member, but you are one of our consulting and coaching professionals in the area of digital marketing. So we're pleased to have multiple relationships with you and make sure that we showcase your talents at every turn. So
absolutely, and thank you for having me. As you know, our promise is to add value to people through collaboration, innovation, and servant leadership. I believe you embody that. Small Business CEO and Experts on Stage embody that as well. So I consider it an honor to be here before you today.
Well, I thank you for joining us. And on behalf of Andre Taylor of TaylorMade Solutions, I want to thank you for allowing us to help you make a quality connection to a quality person. This is Glenn Garnes on behalf of Andre Taylor. This is our Small Business CEO segment where we're giving you an opportunity to get to know the faces behind the business. Thank you for joining us for this episode of Small Business CEO TV.